Good evening and welcome back to Mystic Matters. We are the Greater Mystic Chamber of Commerce. Good evening, Kristin Hartnett.
Good evening, Susette.
Well, it's been busy. It's been gearing up. We are here. We are in summer. We are in summer and Mystic, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, so what are we doing?
We are welcoming people at our Welcome Center. It's
a great
62
place.
Greenmanville Avenue. Our grand opening is May 19th. That
Everybody
is
get out,
going to be
yeah.
fun for the public. We're going to have prizes and giveaways. And if you have a home in Mystic and you have people that come visit you, friends and family, come see what we're all about. And then, of course, we have the Memorial Day coming up.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, that's right.
And we will see you at Business After Hours at Whalers Inn with Malov's Jewelers and...
The block party.
Yes, the block party.
Yeah, the block. It's going to be a big block party.
We don't even know what is happening. It's so exciting. It's being organized by young people. Can I say that? I am young people. No, I'm not.
I guess. I'm not. I guess, Kristin, that might be okay.
That means there's fun things happening.
Yeah. Well, that's. I think Business After Hours in the last couple of years has changed, and I think you have to make it fun.
Yeah.
And a lot of prizes and a lot of stuff going on.
It's going to be great.
And then we're also looking for volunteers for the Mystic Outdoor Art Festival coming up. You know, the second week in August. It's that beautiful time during the summertime, and I guarantee you it's going to be great weather. Don't talk to me about it. It's just going to be great weather.
I cannot guarantee that you can drive a golf cart with Susette, but maybe we could give that away, like a prize.
Maybe we could, but I don't know. We'll see. But a lot happening in downtown Mystic and all around the Mystic area. So come on down and visit us at the new location. And thank you, Kristin, for pinch hitting every week with me.
Hey, you know.
It is what it is, right?
It is what it is.
So anyways, we've got some great guests this evening. They're not new to us in the community, but new to Mystic Matters. And Centers for Hospice Care has been part of our community for a very long period of time.
Over 30 years.
Over 30 years.
Yeah.
And several people from the organization have been on Mystic Matters. But, you know, like everything else, there's a lot going on and a lot of new things happening. So at this point in time, Kristin, I'd like to just introduce a couple of our guests this evening. So we've got Sean Mitchell, really easy name, and Development Director for Centers for Hospice Care.
I like to think so.
And welcome this evening.
Thank you.
And Bill Turner, William Turner, it's probably second time on Mystic Matters, but somebody that's not new to the area. Everybody knows Bill Turner. And we had this conversation just before the show that he had retired a few years ago from SNET, AT&T, and now he's on every board in everything in New London County.
You keep me very busy, Susette. Thank you.
Well, welcome back, Bill Turner. And I'm just going to start with you so that we can kind of get an idea of what we're going to be talking about. But you, Bill Turner, sort of have a personal story with Centers for Hospice Care. Can you just tell us that first, and we'll set the whole evening up?
Yeah, and Sean will talk about it a little bit earlier, but we have a campaign called Sooner is Better. And recently I had a brother who unfortunately had a stroke about 5 years ago. And Michael, and he needed some extra special care, and thanks to the people at the Apple Rehab in Mystic, the former Mary Elizabeth, that many people know, the great care there. We decided about a year ago that the Sooner is Better campaign worked well for Michael because he needed some decisions on his own life, and he wanted to make those decisions, and he was able to work with the Center for Hospice Care and the many services they offer. In particular, what he did like was the massage that they offered. We all like a massage. So the one thing that we often people have a misconception about the Center for Hospice Care is that is the last call one makes when they're saying goodbye to a loved one. And in our case, it was just the opposite. It was time to allow Michael to live out his life with dignity, and we were able to do that with Center for Hospice Care.
So tell us, Sean, just a little bit more about Sooner is Better.
Absolutely. As we've been talking about, Center for Hospice Care has been around now for about 32 years in Southeast Connecticut, and Center for Hospice Care serves about 700 patients and their families per year. Sooner is Better is a big message that we are promoting now more than ever. As Bill was saying, a lot of people associate hospice as the last resort and so forth, and we're trying to stress to people who have that terminal illness that sooner is a better option when it comes to hospice care, because studies has been shown that hospice care you tend to live longer with that. You're not so much of a burden to the family. We care for the person along with your caregiver. We also help out with different services, as Bill was mentioning. So it's a lot of services that we deliver that people don't really understand, and it's something that we try to put the message out, and it becomes a lot less burdensome to the family and to the caregivers that people contact us sooner rather than later in the day, when we have so many families come to us and say, I wish I knew about hospice sooner. Center for Hospice Care, not only do we provide, pain management for patients and so forth, we provide bereavement services, expressive arts therapy for children and teenagers. So we do a lot of the social services along with, not only working with the patient as well, we work with the patient's family in a time of need.
So we were talking to MASH last week about the prevention, and that the psychology has shifted from taking people that become homeless and helping them, but now that's kind of what you're talking about, is more of a prevention type
Absolutely,
of thing.
absolutely. It's not necessarily prevention of the person's disease, but it's managing it. A lot of people, when they have a hospice diagnosis, the patient themselves thinks they're a burden to their family,
Right.
and what we try to do is try to alleviate that burdensome. A person who is in their final days and final weeks or final months, there's a lot they have to cope with, and the less they have to deal with, the more quality of life they have. And that's what Center for Hospice Care really tries to do with this, is to try to alleviate the burden of the patient and what a lot of the burdensome and the responsibilities that are on these people's shoulders. And there's a lot of stuff that Center for Hospice Care covers that isn't necessarily covered under the hospice care benefit, that comes out of our pocket, that people don't really get. We'll pay for bills for electric bills if somebody is behind on that. We'll help with somebody with a shopping bill if somebody needs shopping, if they have no food in their cupboards. We'll provide a gift card from a local supermarket and so forth. So there are a lot of things that we do that are kind of behind the scenes that people really don't understand, that we step up to the plate and really kind of take the worry off that. So we try to help the family along with the patient as well.
Yeah.
Well, that's-
I'm sorry, just
Yeah.
want to jump in. Sean, you raised a good point earlier, and what they do often is to assess the patient and look at the medical needs of the patient at the point when hospice becomes part of the team.
Correct.
And what they do often is to look at the meds that a person may be on and may or may not be appropriate for that patient, looking at an end-of-life decision-making. So it often, they will reassess the whole situation and work with the medical team to make decisions that are best for the patient and the family, which is great.
So I guess the question is, and we talk about sooner rather than sooner is better. Okay, but Wendy, so we know that the patient is towards the end. So when is it best for the family to make that decision to go contact somebody in hospice?
I'll speak for myself, as our experience was. We finally decided that the medical care and treatment that my brother was getting at the time was no longer being successful. And the doctors at some point say, we can no longer treat him. We can continue to provide him medications, but it really isn't going to affect his condition. And maybe it's time to just start making a plan. And often the medical community, well, they're into saving lives at any cost. Hospice comes at it from a little bit of a different angle, in that they want to provide a very holistic way for someone to make
In a very
decisions
peaceful way.
about their own body.
Right.
So I think that in that case, the patient is involved in the decision, the family's involved in the decision, and Sean was talking earlier about the multifaceted. My brother was on and off of hospice care 3 different times. So it's not always a case where you
Mike, I knew it was like-
you call hospice
Yeah,
and the patient
yeah.
is looking at a death. It's more, we chose it because of the litany of caregiving that they could give to my brother outside of just medications.
Right.
The pet therapy, the art therapy that they give, the the different approach that they take on medical. I thought that was
Absolutely.
important.
And that's a good point that you mentioned. Is a part of the Sooner is Better campaign, one of the messages that we are trying to deliver to people is you don't have to stay on this program. You know, you can be on the hospice care benefit, but you can come off at any time, and it's not something where if somebody's like in hospice, okay, this is the end, but all of a sudden they could just say, I don't want to be on it anymore, and they can be off this automatically.
You can come and go.
Exactly.
As many times as you.
It's an option that is
Yeah.
out there, but it's usually not something that's taken once people see the quality of care that's provided and the quality of life that's provided to them, and the burden is lifted off their shoulders.
So, Bill, you have a fundraising event coming
we
up?
do have a fundraising event. We have a couple of them. I know that Sean is going to talk a little bit more about the walk. He's going to talk about it. I'm chairing the walk this year.
That's right.
My doctor told me to take off another 10 pounds, so I better do the walk at a decent pace.
It's funny what I'm hearing is okay, Sean's going to talk a little bit about the walk, and I'm chairing it. So Sean's going to do all the work, but I'm going to try to walk? Is that
I'm
what
going to do the walk.
you're
You got it.
There we go.
So tell us about the walk. Set us up for that.
Basically, it's generally many people that support Center for Hospice Care. We have many organizations and many groups that have been impacted by Center for Hospice Care, their families, their
I saw it
children.
online.
It's
just
a
very nice.
very popular
Yeah.
park. It's a walk. It's held up in Mohegan Park up in Norwich.
That's correct.
And it's a very exciting time. You know, all of our board participates on it. And, you know, Sean, you have some of the logistics as far as the
Absolutely.
dates and the times.
It's taking place at May 13th at Mohegan Park in Norwich. We're expecting about 500 walkers, and we're hoping for glorious weather. Last year,
Should be.
from what we
Yeah.
understand, was quite rainy, but we still had a great turnout, and the event itself raised about $50,000. So
Excellent.
we have a goal this year between $50,000 and $60,000. We're hoping anywhere between 500 and 750 walkers. We have some great sponsors that have come on board, and we're still open for sponsorship. So if anybody wants to sponsor, please contact the Office for Center for Hospice Care or our website at hospicesect.org.
Right there, yeah.
And we would be more than happy to have anybody who walks in memory. It's a very emotional event as well. We do a couple bereavement style events for Center for Hospice Care, but this one you really see people that have been participating for many, many, many years, for people that have passed away 15, 20 years ago, and they still walk in memory of it. So it's an incredibly touching and moving event that people look forward to every year. So we're very excited to have a good base of people that support this event year after year, but you know, people are been on our program, and this is their way of showing their appreciation for what we do, and it's at the same time it shows their appreciation and their memory of their loved one that's passed.
So what time does it start?
Registration is between 8:30 and 9 o'clock, and we start walking at 9 o'clock to 10, and then we have food provided by Mohegan Sun, and people come, walk in memory, congregate a little bit, and then you're on your way for the rest of the Saturday afternoon.
How long is the walk?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
How far do you have to walk is more like it.
Well, we can do a
Can we go around
5K
the
if
corner?
we want to, but it is a 3-mile walk. You have to do the loop twice, and from what I understand, and I've taken a few walks around there myself, it's quite hilly. So if you're adventurous, you can run it. If you want, you can walk it, but we do encourage people to walk, especially if it's hot.
Yeah.
And we've all enjoyed Mohegan Sun. And we've all
Absolutely.
been up there for many
Oh,
times
yeah.
for dinner, so
Yeah,
we know
yeah.
the food will
food's
be
gonna
very
be
good.
great.
Mohegan Sun has been very gracious to Center for Hospice Care for many years, and we're very thankful to them and what they've done for us.
So you have a nice big facility up there in Norwich. What is it that, how many staff, and what do they do up
Center
there?
for Hospice Care has about 95 staff, from anywhere from social workers to clinical nursing, volunteer services, development, financial. So it's a building that we had built about 10 years ago. It's a lovely facility. We like to keep it green. We solar power, and we're doing quite well we have a lot of people who say, God, we didn't know you're back there. We're tucked in right off of Dunham
Yeah.
Street.
Yeah.
And, we have a great service, great staff, and I've been doing nonprofit for about 20 years, and I've never seen anything like it.
Beautiful. So let's talk a little bit about funding. Okay, a little bit for, because we know this year, at least in the state of Connecticut, we've been bringing this up quite a bit, that, funding is always an issue, and it continues to be, I think, Bill and I, you know that from the next. So where does mainly the funding come from?
A lot of the funding comes primarily from Medicare and Medicaid and private insurance reimbursements. We will never turn anybody down for care, even if they're not covered by any of those. So that's a rare case that happens for us.
That is a rare case.
Exactly, but most people now qualify for the hospice care benefit, which is covered under Medicare and Medicaid. But that is where our primary source of revenue comes in, but we do have funding that comes in from foundations and private, individual, and corporate donations.
And you continue on to do some of these fundraisers, and there's also a gala, I guess, too, that...
We don't have a gala. We have our regatta series
That's what
that
it
is
is.
taking
Yep.
place in
Yep.
July. So we have races in Niantic Bay, Stonington, and Thames River. So we have quite a few races, and from what I understand, the Mudheads who have their party in
Have you ever
July
been?
is
Crazy.
quite the shindig that I have not seen yet. So I'm looking forward to it.
That
this
was
year.
voted Party of the Year.
It was.
Every year.
Yeah, it is.
So
Yeah.
they've been a great partner for Center for Hospice Care for many years, and we're looking forward to many more years ahead of us. So we have some
Wow.
great volunteers, and we have some great supporters for our organization.
And you're on the board.
I'm on the board.
Well, and-
We're doing a lot on the board. We're doing a strategic plan there, and we worked with some of the staff most recently, looking at the statistics on where people most want to be with their care. And it's the same for most families. Most people want to be at home and be with their families and be with what's familiar to them and staying at home. All the national statistics are saying that, and we're seeing that also within Connecticut. Now, we're looking at some changes in Medicare and Medicaid, and we have to balance that according to what the criteria are.
But that's throughout. That's
But
throughout
that's throughout. That's
healthcare
throughout.
anyways.
But I think for the most part, finding ways to serve patients within their most comfortable environment is what we're looking to do at hospice. And we're being very successful at it.
Yeah, and that's basically the goal of the board, too.
That's the
right?
goal. We also have a goal where that's a smaller subset of hospice called an organization called the Circle. And you
Yes.
know Nancy Bulkley
Yeah,
from
of
over at
course.
Dominion. Everyone knows
Yeah.
Nancy. But Nancy and I co-chair the organization, and it's an organization that I would say is more a social organization for those people and families that have been impacted by hospice in some way. They've either lost a loved one or they have had personal experience with using hospice and having someone on and off the plan. But it is one way that we can continue to work with people that have been impacted, but also have it on a very positive note with a social organization or an event that takes place. We recently had it down at Father Tom's place
Yes.
down at Enders
Yeah,
Island,
yeah,
which
yeah.
is a beautiful setting, and it was time to just socialize with people that we have worked with over the years and you know, continue to keep the link and the bond with people that are impacted from hospice.
So is it a membership base?
It is a membership base. It's usually an annual membership fee that's charged on that, and the exact amount
$100 per member.
Yeah, it's $100 per member.
Which is very reasonable.
And it's $250 per corporate membership as well. And our next event we're planning is in our healing garden that we have on our campus at 227 Dunham Street, and that's going to be taking place on May 25th. So it is going to be a beer and wine microbrewing tasting, and it's going to be local hors d'oeuvres to pair correctly with the wine and so
yeah,
forth. So
right.
it's a chance for our Circle members to get an update on what's going on with the agency as well, and at the same time recruiting new members to increase our membership to our Circle. So it's a great time for people to come down, look at our garden in spring, and get to know a little bit about what we do there.
And how many people are members?
It's about 150 members right
150
now.
members currently.
Now, is it also part, when you talk about this circle, what is that exactly, is it called? Circle?
It's called
Just
the
the
Circle.
Circle?
The Circle.
It's all the Circle.
It's similar to what a President's Society is
Right.
in colleges or in different charities for maybe people that are higher end donors or somebody who just wants to have that opportunity to know what's going on with the agency, who takes a personal, piece of that. So they have kind of an ownership of the organization. And they're ones that know about information on what's going on, or different programs we're doing, or they'll have an opportunity to meet with some of our social workers or our bereavement people and see what we're doing, because we do so many great programs. We'll do our expressive arts for children, and we'll also do yoga for grief. So there's many different things that people who are the average people who think of one thing, a hospice, as with death, but at the same time, it's helping people heal at the same time. And the Circle gives people that inside piece of what's going on, and it gives a benefit of meeting other people who've had the same experience as well.
So do you have, you mentioned yoga for grief.
Yes.
I was wondering, some of our businesses as members of the Greater Mystic Chamber of Commerce are single business owners that just have some kind of service like
Right.
yoga,
Yeah.
or a lot of home care folks. So would they contact you? Would you work with them, outside contractors for that kind of thing?
We have contractors right now that are people that have mainly volunteered for it, but we do provide stipends for some of our people that volunteer for expressive arts or pet therapy or massage therapy. So most of it is on volunteer basis, but if somebody is interested in saying to help us out, to contact our volunteer services over at Center for Hospice Care.
But you would think with the circle too, I mean, it was a nice opportunity for those corporate members and individuals to also tell the story of hospice. I think it goes both ways when, you are a member and you do get sort of the inside scoop firsthand, but it's also an opportunity for those members to also do an outreach and tell other people about.
It is, and it kind of mixes social with messaging. So, getting back to the event I just talked about in Enders Island, we had like a chef cook-off, very similar to something that MASH has done.
Yeah, the Iron
often
Chef,
before
yeah.
the Iron Chef.
Yeah.
And it worked out very well, but it was also an opportunity to tout some of the newer programs that the hospice has, and the new Sooner is Better campaign, which we were able to introduce to folks. Often families will struggle with the decision for Center for Hospice Care. They struggle, is it time to call? If it enters into the thought pattern, is it time to call? It's time to call. And I always say to people, if that thought process came much earlier, a month or so earlier, you would have had the benefit of being able to give that patient so much more additional care.
Exactly.
And, I think it's important.
And that's the message that Sooner is Better. It's not a financial campaign, it's more of a message campaign and getting the message across to people that palliative care can go so far, but to have a quality of life and to be having that end of life experience with your family and not be so worrisome and burdensome, and just the quality of life is there for the person. It's time to make the call, as Bill says.
So what type of help, obviously there's the help for the patient. What type of help is there for the family?
Well, there's all kinds of, I'll just talk from personal experience. There's counseling for the family that's available if family members need it, for knowing that the end of life is coming.
Right.
Or even after the death of a loved one, they often do many follow-up activities to make sure that the family is whole,
For up to
and to
13
make sure
months.
that additional counseling is not needed. They'll visit, they'll send a rose, they'll find a way to continue the touch from hospice care, knowing that they're still thinking about you and the loved one. So it's an extension, but they never drop the ball as far as knowing that the person was very much a part of their family
Right.
in care.
And there's also, I know there's a lot of volunteers associated with hospice. And
Yeah.
what type of training goes into that?
We have about 150 volunteers that...
Is there that many?
We have...
That's a lot of volunteers.
We have an extensive amount of volunteers, and they go through an orientation depending on what service they want to provide. If they want to do respite care, which they sit with the patient, and it gives the caregiver time to go out and do errands and so forth. So we'll have people that will sit with the patient to make sure that they're in good hands. We'll also have volunteers for pet therapy, which I believe it's 15 certified pets that are dogs that will come in, and they are trained properly, and everybody loves a dog, and it doesn't
Right,
matter
right.
what kind of mood
But
you're
who
in.
trains the pet?
They are certified.
Okay, so it's a you have to go through
Absolutely,
a certain...
yes. It's not
training.
every dog. Well, I mean, my dog
Yeah.
would be a mess, but
My dog would...
but
Yeah.
but these are trained dogs that come in, and we not only do they help out with the parents, but the patients, but they'll also help out with the children that are grieving for the loss of a loved one. So
makes sense.
we're doing our expressive arts. They'll come in. As a matter of fact, they were setting up as I was leaving the office today, where the children will meet in a room first before they go and do their project that is part of the expressive art therapist. So the dog will come in and meet with the children for about a half hour, and then it kind of loosens them up and it breaks the mold and it gets them all excited about their project that they have assigned for them that night. So there's a lot of different things we do, and also our volunteers are massage therapists, our Reiki massage therapists, sensory touch. So there is a lot of volunteers that people come in, and a lot of people ask to come in to help out. And if they're not for patient care or clinical side, we have people come in for administrative side. People come in and help out with office work or with filing or mailings and so forth. And it's amazing because we were just talking about that today, that we have so many people that come in who want to help. Sometimes we never turn anybody down. We'll always find something for volunteers to do.
You'll find some filing.
Absolutely.
Somebody, I mean, but yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
I mean, volunteers volunteer. They want to do something.
Exactly. And me being the director of development, people always think, okay, you're looking for money, but at the same time, somebody may not have the capacity of giving a gift, but give the capacity of your time. You may have been an accountant in your time. Somewhere you can help in the office, or if you want to come in and just help with some filing, there's always something for us to do, and we rely heavily on our volunteers. We have our volunteer appreciation brunch coming up this Saturday over at the Coast Guard Academy, so that's where we recognize our 150 donors there, and just our way of saying thanks to them for what they do.
I'm very impressed with how many nonprofit organizations that we have in this area. So everybody's giving back in one way or another. There are plenty of ways to do it around here. It's, there's always, when we say there's gala after gala, it's still a really great way for people to give back. So there's plenty of that opportunity. So when we're looked at in Connecticut with having money or being a wealthy state, there is, especially members too. We have members of the Greater Mystic Chamber of Commerce, just several nonprofit organizations for every single issue. So and well-run machines too, like Center for Hospice Care.
Now this
really
walk,
well
is this the second year? Or no, is this the first year?
The walk has been over 20 years.
It's been over 20 years.
And that...
Maybe it's because you can't walk in heels.
You can.
I probably can walk, there it is right there. Boy, I'll tell you, I just saw this online.
It's a beautiful walk.
It's a beautiful. I saw Carol's picture in here. I don't know why I saw it. I opened it up for some reason, but I did see it. It's just a great.
Looks like a nice day.
Now that was there's Carol. Oh, there's Franco. That cannot be Franco. Franco in the morning. Who took that picture?
We're guaranteed a beautiful day. Sean's guaranteed.
Yeah.
I am guaranteeing it this time.
Did you walk last year?
I did not. This will be my first time with it. So.
And this is your how many?
This is my first.
Yeah, and this is also, Bill, I've known you for years and years and years, and this is, Michael had passed away just recently.
October,
as well, so this will be a great, at least, you'll be thinking of him.
Yeah, I think that's very important, that many of the walkers all come with some kind of a story, but they're doing it on a very beautiful day, a happy day, a day to enjoy one another's company, and healthy too, so.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll take a pound or two off that day.
I mean, it doesn't get any better than that.
Then you'll eat the lunch, and then it'll be, forget it. The pound is right back on.
We have a few minutes.
I just want to touch one thing that Sean said. I was talking about volunteers in the group that comes. They keep a diary log as they visit with the patient.
Who keeps a diary log?
And often hospice does.
Yeah.
And often when you come in to visit your loved one, you can get a feel for what's happened during the day, and you can get some additional information that you may not have even known that he may have told or she may have told a volunteer.
Right.
That's logged in, and it's just a wonderful way to recap the day and continue the conversation.
And do you get to keep this?
And you get to keep it.
A log.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Is there any type of medical training that they need, or
for volunteers?
Yeah.
No, not
it's
really.
just.
No, it's just like we said, we go through a screening with our volunteers, and then we go through an extensive orientation. It's a full day orientation that they pick which portion of the volunteer they want to do. If, like I mentioned before, respite care, we also do a pinning for veterans, which we recognize veterans.
That's exactly right. Yeah, that's a great program too.
It's an awesome program. We were the first nonprofit in Southeast Connecticut hospice to do that. And now we have other ones in the community that do it as well, but we were the first, and we're pretty proud of that.
Wow.
Yeah,
wow.
It's a great program.
Wow. Well, Sean, we expect you to be there and walk the whole. Okay.
I've been
2
told
times.
I have to run it.
All right.
We'll see.
I don't know if you're up for walking, Kristin, but
I'm usually in the back and I'm gossiping, so I'm up for it if nobody minds, if I'm just hanging around in the back.
Yeah.
well, Sean, thank you for
Thank you very
coming on
much
the
for
show.
having
And
us.
Bill,
Thank
thank
you.
you so much. A
Thank you
great
very
friend,
much.
Bill Turner, to not only for Center of Hospice Care, but for the community. We salute what you do in the community, Bill Turner.
Thank you. It was great to be here.
And then, Kristin, I will see you next week. A lot is going on in Mystic, Connecticut, and for more information, just, I don't know, it's hopping. It really is, whether it's the restaurants or the retail. But so do come down and visit us at the Greater Mystic Chamber of Commerce. And again, support the nonprofits. Center for Hospice Care doesn't get any better than that. We are the Greater Mystic Chamber of Commerce. Mystic Matters. Good evening.
Cheers.